A ship that's crashed into the New York City bridge, some trees out there showing signs of sentience, and a creepy possessed doll called Annabelle is now on tour. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of the strangest and more thought-provoking videos that I could find on TikTok. Let's get into it.
If you have one of these, you're going to want to throw it away right now. People globally are reportedly throwing away this product because of what's come out. I'm sure you all know what this is, you might even be wearing one right now. Be sure to share this video with someone who does wear one. You may remember a while ago claims came out that the watch was actually made of cancerous materials. I mean, people's wrists were looking like this and it was pretty bad. But there was other issues with these devices as well that now people are like, I don't want one. And there was even a lawsuit which they had to pay out 20 million to these users, so let me know if you managed to get any of that. But recently more stuff's come out and it's not looking good. That the straps that were used on the watches weren't going to be good for you. Studies being done showing that these contain hundreds of forever chemicals which are very, very bad. And at the price point some of these straps come in at, a lot of people are just not happy with this whatsoever. But it gets worse again, because these videos have all been trending showing that, well, it doesn't actually work. Like when it shows the heart rate on your wrist, well, it will show that on just random objects that do not have a pulse. People are thinking they've been scammed by the company on multiple levels, whether that's the straps, the device, or it just not working properly. Let me know your thoughts and I will keep you updated.
I personally did have an Apple Watch at one point in time, and my wrist ended up looking just like those wrists where it looked like they had a chemical burn on it. And that was for me only wearing that watch for almost a week. Once that happened, I never wore it again and it went away, but I don't trust it. And I don't know if it's just Apple Watches necessarily, it might be all smartwatches, but I'll probably just stay away from them from now on. Let me know in the comments, do any of you have any smartwatches? And if so, have any of them given you any problems like that?
This astonishing video was filmed recently and shows a tall being with the features of an owl or tall gray looking through a window. Some individuals who have experienced alien abductions have reported seeing owls appearing in the vicinity or during their experiences. These accounts suggest a connection between owls and alien phenomena, often referred to as the messengers in some cultures. This symbolism may contribute to the perception of owls as mysterious or otherworldly beings. Follow me for your dose of nightmare fuel.
Regardless if that's an owl, that would still creep me out. I'm pretty certain that that was an owl. Just the simple fact that it keeps peeping its head in like that, that's pretty creepy looking. But I don't think it's an alien.
Have you seen that thing? It was on TikTok, and it was like, it's one of those like, what a lie, that sounded and said, your babies will be messed up, this, that, whatever. And then it's a picture of two people kissing.
Oh no.
At their on their wedding day, and it said, what a lie. And they're literally twins.
Like first twins?
Like in utero.
No,
Holding hands.
Don't do that.
It really happened.
Isn't that illegal in most states?
I
Most
guess-
states.
I guess they got some kind of exemption because what happened was they were split up at birth by like their parents, and then they met each other by circumstance. They love each other and they got married and stuff, and then they have children with one another.
There's no way.
Who gave her away?
Possibly. Maybe a little selfish, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, you're like, I'm so dope, I'll marry myself.
I'm a catch.
It's a thing that we marry the people we look alike. It's a lot of people do in society. It's a way of keeping your genetic pool going on. It's like something we're biologically engineered to do.
Rub
Why
your
is
letter in
Lily
high school.
attracted to Josh then? 'Cause-
There's a story.
Hey Dad, I got a question for you. Can I marry my sister?
I love that we're starting
you
off the
treat it
podcast with this.
Wait,
This
it isn't
wonderful
recorded?
topic. Yeah, this is all. We're already starting.
I mean, I'm not gonna say any names, but I knew a guy from West Virginia that he had a thing for his sister. Some of the wildest stuff I've ever heard working construction. And I don't know the full details. I don't know how they were split by birth by the parents, where the parents separated and the one was like, I'll keep this one, you keep that one, and they just never ever kept in contact after that. Like, how does that happen exactly? Nonetheless, that's pretty messed up.
So apparently the Annabelle doll is on tour now. Like the actual haunted doll. The one from the movies. The movies that were based on a true story. On a press tour. For what? Merchandise? But do you know what's crazy? Lorraine Warren, the woman who literally owned her, once said Annabelle should never be moved. Like not even an inch. And now she's in a travel case, getting wheeled around like a damn horror mascot. Are you serious? The Warrens kept that doll locked in a glass case with the warning, positively do not open, plastered right across it. They had priests come and bless the room weekly. Ed Warren claimed that the doll was possessed, not haunted, possessed. Said a guy mocked Annabelle one time and died in a motorcycle crash on the way home. But now she's on tour like she just dropped an album. This means one of two things to me. They're either totally ignoring their own warnings for clout, or it was all just a gimmick from the start. And now they're just milking the shit out of this legend dry. Either way, it's reckless, disrespectful, and dumb as hell. If this thing really is cursed, don't come crying when weird stuff starts happening in every city she stops in. Annabelle doesn't need a tour bus. She needs a freaking exorcist. Damn it, man.
Now, I have not looked into this to see how true all of this is, but that's pretty crazy for such a notoriously haunted doll. If you ask me, it's almost like they're just trying to spread evil at that point. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel.
Stop for a sec. You see this photo, right? It's no ordinary photo, and it might have just showed us that our reality is a simulation. This picture was made entirely in the most unexpected way possible by this research student at UCL. And it's not just one. He's created dozens of pieces like this, some of them even looking pretty photorealistic. What makes them special is that they were made completely from math equations. What? How is that even possible? I'm sure you remember y equals mx plus b from high school, the formula for a basic line. If you square the x by adding this little 2 on top, it becomes a curved line or a parabola. Go a little bit more complicated, and this formula right here will plot out the shape of a heart. Well, it turns out if you add enough math to it, you can make virtually any shape and any drawing you can imagine with a formula. And that's exactly what he did. Then incorporating RGB into the equation allows you to assign any color to each individual pixel on the graph. With these formulas, you can literally create anything that exists or that doesn't even exist yet in our universe. And visuals are just the start. You can use similar mathematical equations to create sound waves. Every sound you hear has its own unique waveform. Get detailed enough with the equations and you could theoretically create any sound ever. Others have used similar formulas to create 3D shapes too, which again, if you get specific enough with your math, you can create any 3-dimensional object ever. Then combine a series of these math formula generated images in rapid succession to each other to produce videos, or what our eyes perceive as reality in motion. Even thoughts are just neurons and synapses firing in your brain and produce brainwaves too, which once again could theoretically be mapped to an equation, meaning all of reality, all that we see, hear, experience, and even think can be perfectly converted into math, a series of numbers and symbols. And we do observe math everywhere in the natural world around us, like in the golden ratio spirals, geometric patterns, and fractals. In theory, your entire life experience, everything you've ever seen and ever will see, hear, feel, and experience can be perfectly translated into a never-ending series of math equations. So what if all of reality doesn't actually exist as we perceive it, and is really just an endless stream of algebraic formulas that our eyes, ears, and brains continuously calculate into the sights, sounds, and thoughts that we experience on a daily basis? And if so, who wrote these formulas?
Man, that's really impressive. If they did all that mathematical equation to make those images look the way that they looked, and not by just using digital artwork, but actual math, that's just next level. I don't know if it really breaks reality or if it determines if we live in a matrix. I personally don't think we do, but the matrix that we're creating is incredible.
So it looks like it's a satellite, but I saw immediately that it was unmarked over here. You can see the Starlink here coming down. That's marked. This is unmarked, unmarked, and look what happens when it gets to this red box. Out of nowhere. Well, it was a little off the red box, but you all saw it, right?
Yep.
You get, this is reverse speed, this interesting pulse. And we've seen these, and here's the funny part. It matches the main star in the sky. We're gonna see that more than once. Again and again, when I look at these, the pulse of the random satellite matches the largest star and is often close to it. It's almost like it's fitting into these stars with its color spectrum at that exact moment. And it was yellow until then. When it came on the screen, it was like a yellow. All right, that's it. So I will label that a mix because it's kind of a flasher and it's kind of a non-satellite.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It flashes, but it's moving. It's not stationary.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of a blink too. It's just an interesting one.
Yeah. All right, back to Grok.
Being that it's unmarked, I really don't know what that could be. And the flash, my guess, the only thing that I could guess is that wherever the sun is, it might be reflecting off of it, but again, I'm not sure on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
A ship has just crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. Here's what you need to know. Videos posted online show a massive Mexican Navy sailing ship with 145-foot masts smash into the underside of New York's Brooklyn Bridge while people on the ground start running away thinking it could crash into the walkways too. Its masts were sheared off, and to make things worse, there was 277 people on board at the time. And if you look closely, there was a number of sailors actually on the ship's masts at the time of impact, all lined up as a display holding hands. So when it hit, it was pretty devastating. 2 were killed because they had an over 100-foot fall, and 22 more were injured, with 19 of them having to be taken to hospital. Some insane pictures show after impact a bunch of them holding on literally for survival. Now, as you'd imagine, being New York, there was a huge response from emergency services, and the Brooklyn Bridge was closed down both ways for around 40 minutes. Now, you'll be glad to hear that this is believed to be an accident, with initial reports suggesting that the ship had a mechanical error and lost power. It was actually on its way to Iceland as part of a goodwill tour, but now has been forced to dock at a nearby pier, and all passengers have disembarked. Of course, as we know more, I'll keep you guys updated.
For anyone that has to go through that or is dealing with that, I am so sorry for your loss and your hardship. That just looked horrible. Thoughts and prayers out there for everyone that's suffering through that.
You heard the reptilians work at malls conspiracy?
Watch this.
Will work in an office building or like an office mall. A lot of times it's cold and dark in the corridors of the office mall. But
the perfect place for
office
reptilian
sectors, they're glass and they're well lit. If you think about it, like walking through these spaces, it'll look like an amphibian, like when you go through the reptile section of the zoo, how they have them in their own sections with their glass fronts. There's lighting there, but in the part that you may be walking through is dark, kind of like an aquarium type of feel. These office malls feel very much like an aquarium.
This is the first time I've heard this theory, but it's definitely a fascinating one. And it kind of makes sense. Cold environment, darker areas of the store. Come to think of it, if I was a reptilian, I would love to work at a mall. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
As far as I understood, reptiles don't like the cold that much. They more or less prefer the warmth. So if the mall's cold, I do not think reptiles would be working there personally. Now, maybe under the mall or somewhere in the back rooms where there's boilers or steam, possibly. But let me know what you guys think about this theory. I actually have never heard this one before.
So this person has a mimic in their home and it's way too late to get rid of it. A mimic is a sort of a supernatural entity that mimics you and your family. It starts out with just your voice, but this one has turned into a full-body apparition of her son. That right there was the mimic, and that's her son. She said this video was taken on their security cameras, and their son was the only one that was at home. And as you can clearly see the son round the corner right here, that mimic disappeared. Here it is zoomed in and enhanced so you can see it better. There it is. Walks and disappears, and then here's the son. And this is him and the dog walking across. The dog seems alert as well. And here's the video side by side for reference. The mimic disappears and he doesn't. And here's a video of the mimic in its true shape, just a black formless blob. These are the only 2 paranormal videos that this TikToker has posted. What do you guys think about these clips? Let me know.
If there is nobody else in the house and it's just you and that kid, or you and your son, and you've seen someone walk out of your kitchen into a different room on your security camera, you probably should call the law. Mimic or not, there's an intruder in the house. Game over. I don't even know if I would be able to stay in my house again. Just the fact that there's someone out there walking around that's not supposed to be in here. I do not know how they got in here. Yeah, I would never be able to sleep again in my own home.
Alright, I'm gonna stay. I'm holding this fence. I'm gonna stay completely stationary. So, I can blow on the leaf. Can't really suck it to me. Hello, beautiful, beloved tree. I know you're just having a good day, but for an experiment, would you please bring your leaf down and touch my face? Oh my gosh, thank you.
I am in no way trying to make fun of this guy, but I used to do that kind of stuff when I was a kid. And in my mind, it worked. I would talk to a tree, I would ask it to touch me in ways. I would basically interact with the tree, okay? And it moved and interacted back. I have not done anything like that as a grown adult, but it would be interesting to try to see if it still works. Let me know in the comments, have you ever done anything like this? And do you believe that trees are sentient? It's really interesting, and I see a lot of videos like this popping up on TikTok.
Excuse me. Are you back there again? This has become its favorite spot. Now, and there he is. Okay, that's enough water, please. Okay. Everyone can see you in their reflection, bud. Everyone can see you in their reflection. And it's gone. Okay. I know he's not in here, but I just want anyone who's watching to see. This is too small, but just love it's not. I just wanted you to see. The cabinets are knocking again. I'm leaving. Ouch. That's enough for today.
I think every few months I run across this creator's content. I do not think it's real, but it's very well done. Let me know in the comments, do you think that this is real or do you think it's a hoax?
So as you guys know, we have been getting some heavy increased geomagnetic activity from the sun, right? Now, the aurora borealis was seen in some places all over Colorado yesterday, but in conjunction, this streak of light was being recorded all over Colorado, you guys. Now this thing doesn't look like it's associated with the aurora borealis because it just streaked across the sky and then it disappeared while the aurora borealis was still doing its thing. But yes, y'all, everybody was seeing it. I'm going to show you guys different pictures. Here's another one over here. This one is a little bit more blue. Here's a video of it streaking across the sky. Y'all see that? What is this about? See, what is this about, y'all? It's like the Bifrost Bridge. And then something, hold on, y'all. I just caught this going across the screen and I slowed it down. Look at, what is this? What is going on here, y'all? That is no SpaceX. And that is no Starlink. What is that? And it goes across the screen so fast. Blazing speed, y'all. I had to slow this down. Look at this. So now you guys can see why the activity on the Earth has ramped up, y'all. We are in a new frequency.
So the aurora that we predicted last night did take place, but what is that? What is that streak across the sky? Mike Lewinsky in Colorado recorded this during the aurora, which you see on the horizon right there. That happened during the evening hours of Friday night, the 16th, going into the 17th. And this streak of white light occurred at the same time.
Look at that cosmic fire burning away that 3D veil, y'all. The shift is here. Can y'all feel it? Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
I would have not a single clue what that could possibly be in the sky. If anyone has any ideas, please let me know in the comments because that is interesting and how it just streaks across like that.
Something weird happened on the night of Friday, May 16th, 2025, and hundreds of witnesses saw it. And we're talking about people from across different states. And some are saying this event originated out of Arizona, but witnesses from New Mexico and even Utah saw what appears to be a beam of light shooting into the sky. Nobody knows who caused it or where it came from, but eventually it disappears on its own. But it's crazy that witnesses across states saw this light. Take a look at the next couple of videos and pictures from these witnesses. Tell me what you think this could have been.
a mega anomalous storm, y'all gotta see what I found. Buckle in. And I'll say this one time, you need to watch the whole video to understand what I'm saying. So first, this tornado, or storm tornado, traveled 500 miles. The people who were watching it were literally in awe watching this thing move such a long distance. Before we get to the crazy part, watch this with me. No tornado sirens, no warning. Something is not right about this tornado. It looks like a big cloud of wind to me. I mean, look at that, y'all. Definitely looks really odd. All of this happened in 6 minutes. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now is the crazy part. Midas and other reporters come out talking about how there are consequences as we have defunded these weather services that people rely on to know when the storms are coming.
Cuts to the National Weather Service have caused massive coverage gaps in Kentucky as a violent tornado struck the state last night. The National Weather Service office in Jackson, Kentucky, for example, no longer had a permanent overnight forecaster.
Very strange timing. Now remember how I told you I moved 500 miles, right? Watch this radar and you tell me what in the freaking world is going on right here. I have never seen anything close to this. What do y'all think this is? And yeah, the sky just happened to be this color in Canada. Just coincidentally. And by the way, I don't care what they say caused this.
Man, for the people that are suffering with that, I'm so sorry. I hate storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, things like that are awful. Those are my worst nightmares. And when one happens completely unannounced, completely unexpected like that, that is just awful. Thoughts and prayers to you because you definitely need it.
We have breaking news coming out of St. Louis. On the day of May 16th, 2025, they were hit with an unexpected tornado. And per news report, there's widespread damage, but they are also reporting multiple casualties. And some are saying this was completely unexpected. There were no warnings, no sirens, no news reports of a suspected tornado. This literally came down during the day while people were out and about, working, just enjoying their day. All of our thoughts and prayers are with everybody affected by this disaster.
Hey, God! We're in a tornado! We're literally in a tornado, dude.
Look at the trees, geez.
Oh! Dude, it just crushed the crane truck. Oh my God! Dude.
So I laid down like
Zach and I saw that. Dude, this whole place. It might flip the truck. Oh!
Lay down, bro.
Holy.
So I got out the machine.
Holy. Dude, we were literally just saying it's rotate.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, man.
I thought this was fake, but they actually did it. They might have found the most famous ancient artifact in all of history. For the longest time, historians dismissed it as a myth, a made-up story glamorizing one of humanity's greatest moments. And now, CIA documents from 1988 reveal the Ark of the Covenant is real, and they know exactly where it is. Known as Project Sunstreak, where they sent over 30 agents on very special missions to find the Ark without telling them what they were looking for or even where they were going. Just that they were looking for something very important in order to make the operation as unbiased as possible. The three major goals for this project were establish whether a threat exists, if so, what are its dimensions, and can it be exploited. One particular agent on this mission, number 32, described finding almost exactly what they were looking for. He reported seeing a container with another container inside of it, made of wood, gold, and silver, and was shaped like a coffin, decorated with seraphim on top, which are these things. This already very accurately describes the Ark of the Covenant, without even knowing it's what he was looking for, but it doesn't doesn't end there. He goes on to confirm that he found this container hidden underground in the Middle East as he heard people speaking in Arabic around him. According to him, the container's purpose is to bring people together, holding information and historical knowledge far beyond anything we know, and that it's protected by powerful entities in this underground Middle Eastern chamber, also seeing domed roofs on the surrounding buildings. Keep that part in mind. The agent explained that this box can only be opened by those authorized to do so, and that it won't be opened until the time is right. Anyone who opens it before then will be destroyed by an unknown power, all in his official CIA report. Everything he described are known characteristics of the Lost Ark, without even knowing what he was looking at. And the reason he didn't know where he was or what he was trying to find was because this was a remote viewing mission the CIA had sent him on. In case you didn't know, the CIA was kinda obsessed with remote viewing in the 70s and 80s, part of their larger Project Stargate program. Put simply, remote viewing is the ability to project your consciousness to other parts of the world, or even outside of our world and at any point in time, to see exactly what would be there if you were to go in person, also known as astral projection. Kinda like when you die in a video game and you're waiting to respawn, you can fly around and see everything as that invisible camera that no one else can see. Now I know when most people hear this, they immediately call it nonsense voodoo psychic magic that has no merit in reality. But it kinda works. The CIA and similar agencies have successfully used it on numerous occasions with incredible results. Like Patricia Mona, who successfully found 30 missing people for the RCMP in Canada through her remote viewing sessions. Joe McGonigal, a decorated intelligence officer, described seeing the construction of a giant Soviet submarine through his sessions. An idea that was mocked and literally laughed at the time until they actually found it, and it matched exactly how Joe described it. Other remote viewers drew accurate sketches of secret Soviet bases, which later turned out to be real, or found the exact locations of hostages during major events like the Red Brigade and the Israeli hostage crisis, which were then rescued. Angela Ford was tasked with finding a fugitive on the run through remote viewing and found the name of the exact city he was hiding in Wyoming. He was there and they caught him. Former President Jimmy Carter himself admits they got the exact coordinates of a crashed plane in Africa from a remote viewer, and lo and behold, it was there. Not to mention the CIA invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Project Stargate before they shut this program down in 1995. Sure, you can argue that even a broken clock is right twice a day, and if you remote view enough times, yes, eventually you'll get something right. But these were all incredibly detailed events, locations, and descriptions, and it would be a stretch to call them all just coincidences. It's not perfect, but it works a lot of the time. These training programs insisted that remote viewing is a skill that anyone can learn if you put in the effort. There are some people who are more naturally gifted than others, and these are who they select for their missions. The way the CIA typically conducted the remote viewing missions is by providing anonymous coordinates to their psychic agents and telling them to project themselves there to see what they find. And as we saw with remote viewer number 32 of Project Sunstreak, he potentially witnessed the most sought-after relic in all of history, the Ark of the Covenant. A biblical artifact whose existence is hotly debated, but we do kinda know exactly what it looks like. A giant chest adorned with gold and acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long by 1.5 cubits wide, that is said to hold the 2 stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, the 10 rules of living as written by God and given to Moses in the Bible, as well as Aaron's rod, Moses' brother and the first high priest, which is said to have its own source of divine power, and a golden pot of manna, the divine white flaky food given to the Israelites in the desert by God in order to keep them fed. The book of Exodus goes into crazy detail about the exact specifications of the Ark, and we can pretty much construct a perfect replica based on all the written measurements and instructions given. The Bible even describes the exact sequence of events of where the Ark was moved throughout the generations. Over hundreds of years, the Ark was carried by the Israelites throughout the land as God directed them where to go. It eventually ended up at the Temple of King Solomon in Jerusalem, the last known location of the Ark before the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians in 587 BC. But remember our remote viewer number 32, when describing the Ark, mentioned seeing buildings with domed roofs in his report? Well, the most famous dome in the Middle East and arguably the world is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, an Islamic mosque built in the 7th century AD. What's interesting about the Dome of the Rock is that it was built on Temple Mount, one of the holiest sites in the world, and the same original location as King Solomon's temple before it was destroyed, the last known location of the Ark. That's because the Dome of the Rock was built on top of something called the foundation stone, a massive stone block of great significance, as it's believed this is where God's creation of earth started according to religious tradition, and is also the rock upon which the Ark was expected to be placed on in the OG Temple of King Solomon, as if it couldn't get any more obvious. Beneath this stone are several known tunnels and chambers called the Well of Souls, which people have visited and very clearly exist. But beneath that well is another hidden chamber that's sealed off and is where the Ark of the Covenant is rumored to be held. Access to the Dome of the Rock is very heavily restricted, and you also have to be Muslim to enter as it is an Islamic mosque. mosque, sparking further rumors that they're intentionally hiding it there and not letting anyone claim it for religious dominance. But hey, I'm not touching that one. We're not starting a holy war over here. But it is very interesting to see this remote viewer describe what appears to be the Ark of the Covenant, sitting in a dark cave in the Middle East surrounded by domed buildings, without even knowing what it was he was looking for. So either call it a coincidence, or they know exactly where the Ark is, and who knows what sort of powers it holds.
So basically, it hasn't been found. Just speculated. It'll definitely be the day, though, if it ever does become discovered or revealed. Literally, that will be the day, because it's supposed to be the day. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think about the Ark of the Covenant in the comments.
Hello friends, breaking news, we have our first crop circle of 2025 and it is a beauty. So let's analyze this design because there's more to it than meets the eye. And I'm going to leave this picture up for the duration of the video because just looking at this is incredibly powerful. Let me explain. A year ago, I was down in Jupiter, Florida with Sarah Breskman Cosme. She's a protege of Dolores Cannon. She was in a deep trance and she was channeling, and we were able to ask her questions and she gave us real-time answers. And what I asked her about was about crop circles. And she said that crop circles are created by these plasma balls, and they're created by a higher intelligence to inject things into our collective subconscious. And that by just looking at the pictures of them, it serves as like a pictogram. This one simple symbol has all this embedded information, and by just looking at it, that information goes into your subconscious. But even if you don't look at it, by them kind of tattooing it into the surface of the planet, it kind of injects this line of code into our simulator and into the collective unconscious, and we all get it vicariously. But by also looking at it at an individual level, you absorb even more subconsciously. So just looking at this picture, you're getting the information that's embedded into it. That's very important. Okay, now let's analyze the design. This design is beautiful, and it is a kind of a variation of the traditional Celtic knot. So the Celtic knot, the little squiggly in the middle, typically represents the eternal soul and the interconnectedness, and the circle around it typically represents the spiritual plane. Now in this case, it's not a circle, it's a square, and I have not been able to find this design anywhere. This seems to be a new variation. So let's analyze why it would be a square instead of a circle. Well, the square in esoteric world typically represents the material plane, the box that we're in, this sort of Maya, this illusion, this material world that confines us. And this Celtic knot representing the eternal soul is breaking out of that box, which is very symbolic. And what's it breaking out into? Well, it is breaking out into the spiritual plane. The circle that surrounds the box represents the spiritual plane. So our eternal soul, the knot, is breaking out of the square, the material world, into the spiritual plane. That's what this symbol seems to represent, just based on my analysis and my interpretation. You know, I don't know for sure, but this is what I think. Now, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. But I think that this is super important because I know people right off the bat will say, bro, crop circles aren't real. It's those drunk Irish guys that strap the boards to their feet. I mean, come on. We're looking at this crop circle right here from a bird's eye view straight down, and it is absolutely perfect. Do you have any idea how incredibly hard that would be for a couple people to do in the middle of the night, in the pitch black, on someone else's ranch? The guy who owns this land said he didn't do it. He has no idea where it came from, and he's freaking out. So this was done, if it was by humans, by the most amazing artists in the world. They did it. They don't want any credit. They don't want any notoriety. They did it in someone else's land in the middle of the night. No one saw them. No one has any idea who they are, and they just did it for fun. Come on. It's not human made. It is made by something else, a higher intelligence. It is a pictogram that is full of information that is embedded into the surface of our planet to inject this knowledge into our collective unconscious. And by us just looking at this picture, it fills our subconscious with the information. Somebody is sending a message to us. That's what these crop circles are. And I think that they should be studied and looked at and cherished. I mean, they're amazing, they're beautiful, and they're full of information. And the fact that most people just simply don't pay any attention to them blows my mind. I think it's almost like an IQ test. There's this story of a long time ago when the Nina Pinta and the Santa Maria came, and these boats were coming up towards the shore, and the indigenous tribes, the natives that were on shore, had never seen boats before. And evidently, like, the shamans and the elders that were there saw them and were like, whoa, this is significant. But the other people had no idea. They just ignored it. They tuned it out because their consciousness couldn't even register it. They had no idea. They couldn't make sense of it. They had no context. And I think sometimes that crop circles are like that. I agree there's a psyop, and we've been conditioned to think they're silly and they're man-made. But when you actually analyze it, they're so mind-blowing that I think the average person can't really fathom what they are, who made them, what they're doing here, and there's no context. So I think that crop circles are so extreme and so amazing that most people can't even wrap their minds around what they are or even begin to try to understand it, which just adds to the mystique of them. But I understand there are some hoaxers out there and some have been proven to be hoaxes, but the vast majority of them are completely anomalous and unexplained. And when you really analyze them, there is no explanation for who made them, how they made them, why they made them, and the brilliance of them. So looking at this one, what it suggests to me is that our eternal soul, our spirit, is breaking out of the material box that we're being confined in and spreading out into the spiritual plane. That's what this suggests to me. I think it's beautiful. I think it should be a big deal. Let me know what you guys think about this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
When it comes to crop circles, I really love crop circles. I think they're amazing. I do think that majority of crop circles are man-made, but I do think that there are some crop circles out there that are not. This one, for example, I have a feeling it's man-made, but I could be completely wrong. Let me know in the comments what you guys believe it to be. But my theory around crop circles are, what if these plasmoids are these energy balls that we think are alien spaceships, but they're actually just creatures that's lived on Earth forever? What if that's like how birds build certain structures or decorate their feathers in a certain way to attract a mate? What if that's some kind of plasmoid ball mating call or something, you know? It's like, yeah, look at that there that I made. That's nice, isn't it? And next thing you know, he's got a mate. It's an interesting thought. I don't know if anyone's really put that much thought into it. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. And if you have any theories about crop circles, let me hear them as well. I love to hear those kind of theories. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. And with that being said, have a good day.